Hello, Notre Dame fans. I'm Tyler Horka. That's Jack Sobel. We are here in Clemson, South Carolina at Death Valley, where the Clemson Tigers just beat the number 12. They won't be number 12 anymore. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Weird game, wacky game. Clemson was winning by as many as 18 at one point. 24-6?
Yeah, 24-6.
That was their largest lead. Kind of jumped on Notre Dame early. Came out with a lot of fire. You knew they would. This place behind us was packed. It was loud. Dabo Sweeney was fired up all week. We know that. Tyler from Spartanburg this, Tyler from Spartanburg that. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter. It was Clemson kind of taking it to the Fighting Irish. And Jack, I mean, that's what this was. It was an 8-point ball game, but the Notre Dame offense was never going to score enough points. 31 points, we kind of knew. Put it this way. If anyone was going to score 31 points in this game, they were going to win the game. That's the way that these two offenses have been going all year. And it turns out the Notre Dame offense just didn't have enough to win this football game.
Look, it's a cliche to end all cliches. Notre Dame is just not built to play from behind. I know it's such a cliche, but it's so true. It's so true with this team. When Notre Dame just kept getting the ball inside its own 15, usually inside its own 10, in that fourth quarter, we're just sitting there like, how are they gonna drive down the field? Like, Notre Dame was running that power run game well with Audric Estime. That was really the only thing they were doing well on offense. When they were forced to pass, when Clemson knew they had to pass, they didn't really have any answer. They didn't. Sam Hartman, obviously did not play his best game. He said after the game, put it on me. And that, I think, is what a lot of people are going to do. Even though, as much as Sam Hartman says, put it on me, he really didn't have a lot of help. Receivers were not getting open downfield. The pass protection broke down a lot. It was an overall ugly effort for the Irish offense, particularly the passing game.
Clemson pressured Hartman a lot, and the pressure got there a lot because, how do you beat a team that can't throw the ball downfield? You don't have to sit anybody back in coverage. You can use more guys to rush the line of scrimmage. That's what Clemson did. There was a play where Audric Estime couldn't handle the pressure and Sam Hartman was sacked. There was another play where you don't have enough hats up front to block the amount of guys that Clemson is sending, and somebody shot right through Joe Alt and Pat Coogan. Sam Hartman was sacked on that play. Notre Dame got down to its third-string center, sophomore Ashton Craig. I think that's just a minor footnote in this story, though. The story is Notre Dame doesn't have a passing game, and that's because Hartman is poor throwing the football. Both of his interceptions are his fault.
Right.
He let the pick six, he let a linebacker undercut that play and take it to the house for a touchdown. And that's really the play that, it was going to teeter-totter there in the first half, but that's when Clemson grabbed a hold of the game. From there, Clemson had a hold of the game, and that's on Hartman. And then at the end, Notre Dame has one of its many chances that Jack mentioned, backed up in its own end zone. But really, they were kind of creeping toward midfield on this particular one. It might have been third down, might have been fourth down. I don't remember. Hartman sails the pass. I thought that was game over. Turns out, Notre Dame defense, which you can't really put this – you can blame it on a lot of people. Sam Hartman is up there on the list. You can't blame it on the Notre Dame defense, even though it got pushed around a little bit early. But they got the ball back again for Notre Dame with 1 minute and 22 seconds left, and this time they weren't backed up inside their own 10. They were at the 22. It's a normal distance to drive and go score. Notre Dame wasn't going to do it. Jack, I mean – what are the other takeaways here? I mean, it has to go. We're going to talk some big picture stuff in a minute, but just from this game, what else are we missing here? I don't know if we're missing a whole lot.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there in that I don't think you can put none of it on the Notre Dame defense. Yeah. I think the Notre Dame defense got pushed around. They got pushed back the front four in the run game more than I've seen them in a long time. The linebackers, I thought, took some poor angles. They were getting sucked in too close to the line of scrimmage. Wall holes opened up, and you saw that in the touchdown. Phil Maffa ran for 41 yards. The special teams, obviously, not great. Spencer Schrader had a good day, but Chris Tyree had a punt go off his face mask, I believe.
One go over his head, too.
And had one go over his head or kind of just past him. Was not a good day for him returning punts after a great day last week. I think you really can't ignore the home road splits right now. Yeah. You can't ignore how the Irish have played in their past 3 weeks on the road. I know they beat Duke, but really didn't look good in that game. And when they come back to South Bend, they look like what should have been a college football playoff contender. And I guess that's a good segue into big picture stuff.
Yeah. So a couple things there. Marcus Freeman post-game press conference. He said Clemson is a good team, and guess what? I tend to agree with them. They haven't been blown out in any game. They've been in every game. They've lost a couple overtime games. okay, so maybe not a good team, but they're not a bad team. This is not a bad team. It's a talented team. It's a well-coached team. We're sitting here, and you can't read it, but up there, maybe, right there, I think. Or is that the playoff? I don't know. There's a bunch of college football playoff years. There's a couple national championship years. Dabo Swinney is responsible for those. This is a Dabo Swinney coach team that we saw today. They came out fiery. They wanted to win this game. They did win this game. Now, for Notre Dame, the mantra has been anti-fragile. When we're hit with adversity, we respond to adversity. I get that. I like anti-fragile. That is it's a cliche now because we cover Notre Dame, but you don't hear that around the country a lot, the specific term anti-fragile. Here's the thing, Jack. You can't say that we respond to adversity. Like Notre Dame may come out of the bye week and just kill Wake Forest and say, we're back, we're 8-3, we're going to go 9-3, we're going to get 10 wins in a bowl game, whatever. They're inflicting this adversity onto themselves. Clemson's not a bad team, but Notre Dame was still favored to win by a field goal. It didn't happen. That's on Notre Dame. You can't keep inflicting adversity upon yourself and say, we respond to adversity. Well, stop putting yourselves in situations that are adverse, Jack. I'm sure you have a ton to say about this.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say. Like, yes, they respond to adversity. Just in this game specifically, at the start of the second half, Xavier Watts, his 7th interception of the season. He's having an incredible year. Set them up at the 2. They score all of a sudden, brand new ball game. Clemson comes back down and scores again, but then Notre Dame gets the ball back and drives down and scores a touchdown of their own. And they're so much in this game, even at the end when it looked bleak. Notre Dame had every opportunity. Clemson just kept giving them opportunities. As soon as we thought there were no more opportunities to give, bam, Clemson fumbles. When that's the one thing they couldn't do. And going back to the first half, Notre Dame put itself in a position to need to come back by making all those mistakes, by giving up all that yardage and all those touchdowns to Clemson. They put themselves in a hole, and they couldn't climb out of it. Yeah,
and here's another thing. Let's go back to Hartman. You're playing a Cade Klubnik-led team that he's just a turnover machine. So the one thing you couldn't do if you were Hartman was turn the ball over and have it lead directly to points. He did. Pick 6. Couldn't have that in this ball game. Clemson wins by 8 points, in large part because of that pick 6. But just the way that Notre Dame, yes, they responded a couple of times, but there were opportunities to get over the hump. They didn't. Clemson couldn't even get over the hump. How many times did I tell you, Jack, sitting there in the press box, Clemson they didn't even need a field goal. When it was an 8-point game, they didn't even need a touchdown, When it was an 8-point game, I kept saying all Clemson needs is a field goal because Notre Dame's not going to score twice. They didn't even get that, yet Notre Dame didn't even score once. So frustrating football team, disappointing. I'll put you on the spot here. You got to describe this team, this season in one word. I wrestle between those two. Disappointing is easy because, you guys are disappointed, but it's been frustratingly disappointing. So I'll say frustrating. This team is frustrating.
It's a roller coaster whose latest loop, today's game, goes way down, and I don't think there's any way, given that they have 3 losses, a New Year's Six bowl game is out the window. That was the one chance they had left to make this really a special season for Notre Dame. They haven't won a New Year's Six bowl game since 1994. They had the chance to do that until today, and with this roller coaster loop going way down, I don't think there's a chance to get it as high as it was after USC and after Pitt. I think that's the best way I can sum it up.
Putting you back on the spot because we got a few more minutes to talk Notre Dame football here. Marcus Freeman, the perception of him, it felt like a game that he needed to win, and I don't know if he did enough. Like, what can you do as a head coach within the confines of games? Maybe the clock management was a little bit questionable there at the end of the first half, but I don't think that cost them the game. You're looking at him in this game. You're looking at him in terms of the entire season. What's your perspective? What can you say about where this team is under Marcus Freeman right now?
It's hard to say right now. I mean, we thought, and to be honest, I still think this team is a better Notre Dame team than it was last year.
Yeah, I agree.
But the margin, the margin's not going to be better than a game in the final record, if it's that. Yeah. And they brought in Sam Hartman because they wanted a big jump from last season to this season, and they didn't get it. And I think that's I don't know what else I can say about it. It's it's setting up for a really big 2024 for Marcus Freeman.
You make a good point about Hartman. The last thing that you wanted to hear in the first week of November was Hartman come up to that chair, that table that he just spoke to us at for about 5 minutes, whatever it was, get asked a question and not even answer that question, go on about a minute, 90 seconds, whatever it was, of I wasn't good enough today, I was not a winning quarterback today, we didn't play winning football as a team today. Notre Dame didn't go to the transfer portal to get that spiel out of Sam Hartman in November. But that's where Notre Dame is. It's a 7-3 football team. It's got another bye week here. Disappointing bye week. The last bye week, you beat USC by 28 points. You're going into it. You're saying we're 6-2. We got 4 games left. We can be a 10-win football team at the end of the regular season. It's not happening. You're probably going to be a 9-win team at the regular season, which was the next best thing. But, boy, what a gut punch this was for the Fighting Irish today. There's no other way to describe it. You could see how much it weighed on Freeman. You could see how much it weighed on Sam Hartman, in that post-game press conference. So, closing thoughts, anything else you think we missed?
I just want to reiterate that, yes, Sam Hartman played poorly. Yes, they brought in Sam Hartman to do more than this. It's not all on Sam Hartman. It's almost never all on the quarterback. The offense, whatever it found in the past 2 games, and I know they played a much better defense today, but they just lost it.
And that's it for us at Blue and Gold. Again, I'm Tyler Horka. That's Jack Sobel. Clemson 31, Notre Dame 23. Bye week next week. We'll be back with you guys after the Wake Forest game on the 18th.